Hello everyone and welcome to a new vlog. I'm in the forest again and it's a new forest that I'm exploring right now. I decided that this year it's gonna be the year when I will try to explore as many forests as possible. I think this is what defines me as a landscape photographer. This is the subject that makes me uh, happy. Don't get me wrong, I really like photographing mountains or waterfalls or all sorts of other landscapes, but in the forest I feel home. In the forest, I think my skills as a landscape photographer are at its max. In the forest from today, I noticed some white flowers on the ground, and I think that would be an interesting foreground element. I also saw some ferns and areas of light, areas of darkness. These are the main elements that I'm going to focus on. I think whenever you are inside a forest, you should search for a clear path and then look for this alternation between darkness and light. I think this is the way you should approach this subject, and also search for interesting foreground elements, flowers on the ground, trees falling down, areas of light, areas of darkness, ferns. I'm referring basically to bigger elements that can form an interesting way to start your shot. What I'm trying to evaluate right now is if the 24mm lens is wide enough, and I I don't know exactly, because if if I'm gonna use a 17mm lens, it's gonna be wider. I'm gonna catch, or I'm gonna capture much more elements in front of me. But because this is not a vast landscape, the elements in the background may lose importance because they become smaller. So yes, when I'm photographing a mountain, it works because I'm having a really huge mountain in the background. But right now in the forest, I don't know if using a 17mm would help me, because the background and the elements that are further away would get lost in the chaos and the clutter of the forest. This is one of the key elements. You have to evaluate not only how good the foreground looks, but make sure that the foreground doesn't become the subject. One way in which I'm trying to have also an interesting foreground element and also a clear background element is to move further away. As I told you, the background elements in the forest are not that big. Usually are clearance, are places where light enters, are a trail, a path. And if you're using a lens that's too wide, you get lost. This element gets lost. So what I'm trying to do is move a little bit, a little back, and I'm using right now a 50mm focal length. And I think that in this way I can also capture the flowers, and then I will capture the path that leads to the light. It's a compromise that you have to make. I think sometimes it's not. This is a photo that doesn't have that a huge impact. It doesn't have that big flower, those elements, those big flowers in the foreground. But in a situation like this, I don't know if a photo like that would work. So let's try this one. I may need to focus tag to do two photos, one with the focus on the flowers and then with the focus in the background, just to make sure that I have all the elements in focus. I'm gonna switch lenses now. I will go to the 17mm lens because I really like how these flowers look like. I searched for a photo where I could have a foreground element composed by these flowers, and then a background that it's fairly close. So we'll see what the result will be, and I'm confident. I think the forest is the ultimate challenge for a landscape photographer. The chaos, the clutter, all the elements that are basically invading your senses makes this type of photography, in my personal opinion, the hardest. But it also offers really huge rewards if you're managing to create something interesting. You know, not all the ferns look that great, but this one over here, it has kind of like a perfect shape where all the plant's elements are positioned in a way that create almost like a perfect circle around a plant that is growing inside. Now the ideal situation would be to have a flower inside the fern. Well, I didn't manage to find something like that, but I did find a huge mosquito on the fern, so yeah. But I will photograph this in a dark, moody way, and it's gonna look great. It's gonna be a flat lay, it's gonna be photographed right from the top, and I'm gonna capture this spread of the leaves of the fern and that small plant that it's inside it. I think it looks really great. You can photograph this fern in many ways, especially because there's a plant inside the fern. You can use the lines of the leaves of the fern to create or to use them as leading lines. You can place them right in the center. You can place them to the, let's say, upper right corner to use the rule of thirds. Exploring a new place takes time. You need to allow the place to, in a way, naturally come to you. This exploration is not something that you will do on a run or in a 5 minute, 10 minute, 1 hour, 2 hours. You need to allow yourself time to feel the place. Especially as a landscape photographer, you are there to capture the place as best as possible. And when we are talking about forests, there are so many elements that are interesting. There are dead trees and plants and mushrooms that grow on those trees, and you can get lost in all this calm that the forest offers, and you need to, in a way, allow yourself to be calm enough and to tune yourself with the landscape in order to see the landscape. I don't know if this sounds very familiar to you or if this makes any sense, but this is the way it works for me. I need to get used to the place in order to be able to photograph it. I would like to hear your thoughts on this concept of exploring a new place. What do you think are the most important things that you need to do when you are there in a new landscape? Now, thanks for watching this vlog. I hope you like it. I hope you found it useful. And until next time, keep on photographing. It's the only way that you can get better.